I very often get asked during these sessions for more webinars on things like designing for YouTube thumbnails. And so I was really super stoked to be able to ask our resident expert on YouTube thumbnails to come on board and share this session with us today. So I'm really looking forward to seeing all of the designs evolve during this session, just as much as you are, I think, today. All right, I will hand it over to you, Ronnie.
Thank you, Jess. Hello, everyone. But I'm super happy to be here today with you for this design makeover session from Canva Space. So my name is Ronnie. As Jess said, I am a little bit of an expert at YouTube. I do this for Canva. I do this for my personal business as well, which is pretty much being a content creator. So yeah, creating content for YouTube. At Canva, I am a part of the design school team. So I'm a design educator. We create regular webinars, courses, YouTube content, basically any type of educational content to educate our community of Canva users. So that is my role at Canva. I'm super proud of this role because I believe the gift of education is really important. If you know something and you can pass it on to someone else, which is what we are going to try to do today in this session, is really noble. So let's get things started. I have a presentation here. Obviously, those of you who don't know Canva yet, well, we are a design platform that makes it easy to everyone to design anything for free. So Canva is essentially a free platform. We have Canva Pro, which is the paid offer from Canva that offers a bit more value than the free product, but it is free for everyone to use. Our mission is to empower the world to design. So when we say the world, we are serious about this. It's not just the savvy designers, it's everyone. So from 8 years old to 88 years old, we want everyone to be able to use Canva to create beautiful designs. Today, we are going to talk about YouTube thumbnails. One of my favorite topics, actually. I love creating content for YouTube, and I love when this content is being discovered. But you know what? The problem is that every minute, 500 hours of fresh video content is uploaded to YouTube. So it's massive, the quantity of content that is being uploaded to YouTube every day, every minute, every second even. So how do you stand out from this ocean of content? How do you get people's attention on YouTube, knowing that there's so much competition, so much people uploading content up there? So there are really two ways you can achieve to get people's attention. The first one is to optimize your titles and your descriptions and appear in the searches, rank your videos, but that requires your videos to get views already to get there. The other way is to optimize your thumbnails. So you give people a good reason to click on your thumbnail. So the thumbnail is the little image that you see when you're browsing YouTube. You see the first frame. Well, it's not really the first frame of the video. It's a custom frame that you create and you upload together with your video. So this image needs to be really grabbing people's attention and creating a little bit of tension so that they want to click the video. So today's session is about this. We are going to do a design makeover. So we have 3 designs, 3 thumbnails that have been submitted to us. I'm going to go over them and I'm going to see how we can improve upon them in order to be more efficient on YouTube at grabbing people's attention. All right, let's get into it. So the 3 thumbnails we are going to be working on is this one. So for mobile filmmaking, this one, easy study tips, and this one, 6 easy Mother's Day cards to make. All right, so I'm going to exit the full screen presentation. So we're going to land on my Canva presentation because I want to do this live with you. So yeah, if there is no question at this point, I'm going to jump straight into it. The first design makeover here. which is this thumbnail right here. So if I analyze this thumbnail, I see a few things going on, right? There's a few elements, there's a photo in the background, seems to be some transparency going on as well, and then some information. So Tim Smith, basic shots. So we have some kind of faded colors as well. So this is what I see from the get-go, okay? I think a few things need to be improved on in this design. The first, and I have here a list of 3 main criteria that I want to focus on, main design fundamentals, or maybe YouTube fundamentals. It's going to be a mix of both. Usually the design makeover sessions are mostly focused on design, but here I believe designing for YouTube is a very specific skill. It's not exactly the same as designing for anything else, because you have to play by YouTube rules as well. So we are going to focus on contrast, legibility, and consistency. So contrast, you can see that this thumbnail is not very contrasty. One way I like to look at my thumbnails, and I'm going to be doing this consistently during this session, is to reduce the size. If you see here, playing with the percentage, so the zoom percentages on Canva, it's at 66% right now. Bring it down to the smallest increment you can. So that is 10%. Can you read that thumbnail? Not really. Like I can read mobile filmmaking, which is not too bad, but it's not easy for me to read it. So I'm going to go back to make this fit to my screen. So we need to work on this. So that would be probably legibility, but also contrast, because the more contrast you create, the easier it will be to read. Then consistency. If I go back, it says mobile filmmaking, but I see a person here using a DSLR camera with like an external monitor connected to that DSLR camera. This is not mobile filmmaking. This is like DSLR filmmaking or studio filmmaking. So the consistency between the messaging and the visual is not there. So we need to fix that. And then we have the information, the text. It seems like the text is there's not enough contrast. I already said that. And the text seems to be too small. So let's work on this from a blank canvas. So from here, a few things I want to do. Okay, so the first one is to rescue the text that I'm going to be using. So for that, I'm going to add a background so that it's not white. Just the background doesn't really matter too much. Let's use this for now. And I'm going to rescue, like I was saying, and the text that I believe is important for this thumbnail. So mobile filmmaking, we're just going to be Command-C and copying this part. Just bring it here to my design, okay? Continuing, so lesson 1, basic shots, Tim Smith. Okay, so another common mistake that people do on YouTube thumbnails is that they add too much text. So there is one like major rule that I really live by, is that if you can minimize your text to a bare minimum on your thumbnail, but choose that text very wisely in order to create that tension, your text on the thumbnail needs to work hand in hand with your video title and like your video title, basically. So I imagine the title for this video could be mobile filmmaking, or making videos on your mobile dash the basic shots, or dash lesson 1 basic shots, something like that. So the title will say that, but does the thumbnail need to say that as well? Not completely sure. What I feel is important is this one, like mobile filmmaking. This is like a key information, like I want to keep that. Basic shots, I think it's also important. The name of the author of the video, is that the actor? We don't know. Lesson 1, definitely not something which is super important. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep basic shots. And I can represent lesson 1 by just typing in 1, right? So I don't want Canva to automatically, you see, it creates a space here, just so I'm going to add the space manually. Okay, so So I have mobile filmmaking, basic shots. All right. So this is the information I believe I want on my thumbnail. Now, from here, I'm going to open the left side panel here. And from the templates tab, I'm going to search for YouTube thumbnails. I want to find some YouTube thumbnails template inspiration. Okay, this is important. I want to see how Canva does it, like the different types of templates that I can see here, because there's some good stuff going on. So it's always good to start inspired by using one of our templates. So I like puppy things. I like when you have a lot of contrast. So I particularly like this one, to be honest. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to click on the next page, which is a blank page, and upload this template right here. There's some stuff I can work with here. Obviously not the photo, this is not relevant, but these text boxes with a big, nice, like bold font, which is very legible and very contrasty. This interests me. So I'm gonna copy these two boxes. So I selected them, Control C or Command C. I'm gonna go back to my slide here and paste that. Okay, and immediately I can start tweaking these with my actual text. I'm gonna put them on this side. So mobile filmmaking, mobile filmmaking, like so. It might be a bit big, but we'll see. And where did my text go? Here, basic shots. I'm gonna move that here. Okay, so basic shots. I want to copy all of that too. Do I put it here? I'm not sure, because this one is very long. So maybe I can do like this. Mobile and filmmaking will be coming here. Filmmaking. Okay, let's do this. Mobile filmmaking. Okay, I need to do a few adjustments, and I'll see what I do with the second line, because I'm still not sure I need to keep this. It will depend on my final composition. So I can start using Canva's alignment and the safe zone here to align my stuff. It's always good to stay safe, so within the safe zone, which is represented by this purple square that you see on screen. So I'm going to put it here. Mobile filmmaking. I see more space here and here than here. So I want to make this super centered. I'm going to ungroup them. These were two elements grouped together. So I'm going to ungroup, and I want these to be perfectly centered. So I want the text box to be perfectly centered in the shape behind them. So in order to perfectly center things like this in this type of situation, there are two things you need to remember. First, your text box needs to be as small as possible in the sense that this text, you see, when it snaps to two lines, you have to find this limit just right before it snaps to two lines. So it's here. Okay, similar here. Here, I think it's pretty accurate as well. So right before it snaps to the second line, because if you have space, Canva is going to consider that space to center your elements, the two elements. So make sure this text box goes no further than where it should be in order to keep this one word in one line. Okay, now I'm going to select both of them. And you will see me do this like very often, like I click outside of the design and I click in the design. So that allows me to select elements without moving stuff. So here it's not going to move because there's nothing in the background. But if you had an image and you try to click from here, your image is going to move. So I always click from outside to the inside, and you select them both. Then you go to your position button, and I'm going to be positioning it in the middle and center. Middle is already selected, so I just click center. And now I know for a fact that these two things, these two elements are aligned. I'm going to do the same thing here. So position, center. All right, now I have these two things are ready, these two elements of text. Okay, let's find an appropriate, a consistent image to go with this. Okay, I can delete this line. Basic shots, I'm going to keep it here for now. I don't know yet what's going to happen with this. And now I can also delete this colored background to white. If I do, I don't see my text. Let's change the color of the text to black for now. Right, now I need an image. Mobile filmmaking. So I'm going to simply search into Canva for a photo. All right, so I'm going to search for a man shooting a selfie, because there's a good chance that we'll have someone like shooting with a phone. That's kind of what I want. You could have searched for shooting video with a phone or mobile filmmaking. So try different keyword or keyword expressions to find the right photos in Canva. So here, man shooting selfie, I'm going to filter by photos. So the second tab here. I'm just going to scroll down and try to see if I find something that I could use. Kind of want it to be a man. So I like this photo right here. You see, we don't see his hand. Like we imagine he's holding his phone. So I think I can use that. And I have an idea in mind. So I want to kind of represent this idea. Okay, so you see it's the photo is coming like underneath my text. It's not a big deal. I can just select where this photo is going to be in the future. But what I want to do is to get rid of the background. So I'm going to use the background remover on that photo. Okay, so background remover is a pro feature. So those of you who don't have Canva Pro, you have two options. You can find an image for which you don't need to remove the background, or you can use external websites to remove your background. So there is one called remove.bg, which will do the same job. It will give you a lower quality photo. So and also it's not completely in Canva. It's actually the same team that develops this feature for Canva. But here, the beauty of the background remover is that it is in Canva and it will save you a ton of time. So to use the background remover, select your photo, go to edit image. Some of you might still have the effect button. So we are rolling out this new button to our users at the moment. Don't know exactly how many, what's the percentage of users who already have the new version of the button, but it's the same button. Just like we packaged everything, image editing, into this one button for now. So the background remover is here. If you have the effect button, similarly, you'll find your background remover there. So I'm going to click on it and let Canva and the background remover do its thing. And it's going to get rid of this wall behind this guy. Okay, so this is what I have. If there were some mistakes in the removing of this background, I could edit them with the erase or the restore button. But I'm happy with this. It did a good job. So I'm going to click apply. All right. Once I click apply, this photo is now without a background and I can use it as I want. He has a long arm. So I'm going to reduce his arm quite a bit because I want him to be here, more or less. And I want this photo to be bigger as well. I'm going to push something like that. I like that it's covering a little bit of the text. I like that effect on the visual. Now, oh, he has his head like slightly cropped here. I don't know why. Let's not crop his head. Okay, so this is not too bad. I could stay there, but I want my design to be a little bit more sophisticated than that. I want it to represent more mobile filmmaking. Okay, so how can I do that? Well, I want to bring up the phone element to this thumbnail. I want to illustrate that there's a phone going on in this picture. We don't see any phone right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to duplicate this slide. So duplicating the slide, you can click on the three little dots right here, duplicate. Okay, so this is the duplicate. I'm going to delete all of this, just keep the guy And I'm going to take a photo of my screen with my camera. So obviously you don't see everything that's on my screen right here, but I have my camera app. So the camera app has this button, this red button for the video. It has like a little bit of titles and like features on my phone. So I want to kind of keep these overlay of the camera app and bring that to my design. But instead of trying to find it or reproduce it in Canva, I can just take a screenshot really of my camera, but I want a screenshot of the guy as if he was taking a selfie. So I'm going to find the right angle here on my screen and then take a screenshot, not a photo, but a screenshot. Okay, I have my screenshot. I'm going to airdrop that to my computer. So it's here in my uploads now. All right, it's here, and I'm going to drop this in my uploads. I want to show you my complete design process here because this is a little bit unconventional, but I think it's going to bring something special to the design. I don't need this slide anymore. I can delete it, come back to my ongoing project here. So if I import this, this is what we have. You see, this is a screenshot of my phone. I didn't take a photo, I took a screenshot. So I have the actual features of my screen. Okay, this is looking good. What I want to do with this, why did I do this, you might wonder. Let's go back to your elements. I'm going to search for phone frame, phone frame. Canva has a bunch of different frames. And some of these frames are actually devices. You can search for iPad frame, you can search for laptop frame. So here, phone frame, I find this. The beauty of this is that you can drop stuff in this. And I'm going to drop my image here. I could drop it like this and have this, which is fine, really. So let's use this. Or I could also play with this photo. I could crop part of it before dropping it into the frame, but let's keep it real like this. Let's keep it as native as possible. I can play around with the phone here and twist it or tweak it. I mean, rotate it for something that would look like a kind of a natural movement. So I'm happy with this. It's slightly off screen. And then the last thing I want to do to select this image in the background and add some blur to it. So I'm going to go back to edit image and see all the adjustments here. Again, you might have a slightly different menu here if you're still with the effect button, but the blur function is still there. So find blur and add some blur to your image as much as you want, really. It's not really, it's really up to you and your creativity, but I'm fine with this. Now I can see here that this guy is not exactly, is a little bit over my, my text box. So I can decide whether I want to push it backwards or whether I like this effect and I actually like him on top of this. Something else I could do, let me select all of this. Or actually, I can make this bigger even. Okay, well, I'm pretty happy about this and we are getting close to something final here. I will bring this to the front. It's already in the front. Don't like too much this shadow here, so I can maybe push it back a little bit with my keyboard arrows. So it's not covering my text too much. All right, now adding the final touches. I think I have space here. You see this white space? There's enough space for me to use this last bit of information. So basic shots. Obviously, I want this to be in another font. So I could use the same font, Antonio Bold. Let's do that. Going to Antonio Bold, or actually I have another font suggested, this, which is also bold, this one. And I want to make this bigger because remember, it needs to be readable. Basic shots. There's a little bit too much space in between the letters. I don't like that. So I'm going to reduce the letter spacing here. Basic shots, like so. Maybe I can bold this even more. Yes, I can. So now I need more space. Basic shots. Okay. this looks okay. I'm going to change the color for maybe this purple, which is good. Let me zoom all the way back out. Mobile filmmaking, basic shots. Yes, I can read all of the information. The reason why I zoom out so much is because when you are scrolling on your phone on YouTube, this is kind of like the size of how it would look, like the thumbnail. So if it's not legible at this size, it means you're missing out on, I don't know, 70% of YouTube browsers who are going, like viewers who are browsing YouTube from their phone. It could be even more than 70%. So it's super important that you catch mobile visitors of the website as well. Okay, we are almost done with this. I like to add a bit of texture to my thumbnails. So I'm going to add an entire background to this image. So for this, I'm going to click on the white background and I'm going to search for grid. So a grid is like a frame, but it's bigger, basically. So it covers my entire screen. So I'm going to add this grid, and then I'm going to search for paper texture. Paper texture. I want it to be kind of like a sheet of paper, kind of a little bit wrinkly. So yeah, this could work. This could work as well. So from here, just like try different things. This looks nice. And the last thing I want to do is to highlight this slightly. So how can we, I don't want to have another box like this one, but maybe something different. So I'm going to search for highlight. If you search for highlights in your graphics, you will see these kind of like highlighter, neon highlighter kind of thingies. I like to use that. So let's grab one and resize it. Okay, so this is not too bad. Again, like this text box, I want it to be exactly how it should be. Obviously, I'm not going to keep this red color. It doesn't look good with the purple. And I'm going to duplicate this. I can see here that the transparency, oh, it's a transparent element. So I'm not going to use this one. I want one which is not transparent by nature. So like this one, for example. Does it? No, it doesn't have transparency. So I'm trying to properly align these two things. So I'm going to use the same technique like so. And I'm going to change that color to white. All right, this looks good. I could have one last thing, could have a little doodle. I like to use the keyword doodle, kind of hand-drawn elements. I like these, and I search for graphics. Something like that gives a little bit of an accent. I'm going to position it here and use my dominant color here, which is this color. And there we go. I think we have a winner here. Let me zoom all the way back out. Mobile filmmaking, basic shots. Yes, let me know what you think. All right, so I can delete this slide. Yes, and you see, this is the slide I had prepared yesterday because I prepared this session. So we are pretty close to this. I kind of reproduced it. I can delete it now because I have my before and after. So this is what it looked like first, and then we reworked on this. So we worked on 3 core principles, which were, if you remember correctly, consistency. This image was not consistent with the title because it doesn't show a mobile phone. So I fixed that. Contrast. So there was not enough contrast in this first thumbnail. Fixed that with the light background and the flashy color text elements. And the third, which was the third, legibility. Sorry. So we fixed the legibility because now when we reduce the size of this thumbnail to its lowest percentage, which is 10% in Canva, I can still read it properly. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any question related to this first makeover I just made. And if not, I'll just move on to the second one.
So no questions at the moment. I think we move straight on to the next one, but lots of appreciation for that. It's much more compelling. It's so much better now. Great tips. So yeah, thanks for those insights, Ronny.
Yep, you're welcome, guys. All right. So, oh yeah, there's this one thing also that a few principles that are more like YouTube related principles and tips that I did apply on this thumbnail. I showed faces. Like showing faces, I don't know why. I think people like people simply, but when you show your face on your YouTube thumbnail, or you show a face, it really boosts your click-through rate. So people enjoy seeing other people on YouTube thumbnails. So that is one of the core YouTube principles that I try to apply. And these things you learn kind of from experience or from consuming a lot of YouTube. And if I type, like, let me quickly go to YouTube here. If I type mobile filmmaking and just search, you will see a lot of faces, you see? And you see a lot of phones. So these were two, like, I would say, mistakes that were not properly done on the first thumbnail. All right, coming back to Canva. So I used bold keywords and I used bright colors. All right, moving on to the second thumbnail. So this is the next thumbnail. Easy study tips, low effort, high result tips, and then study pro with a little logo here. So again, let's do the test. Can we read it? I can read that. Easy study tips. I cannot read that. And can barely read the logo. I have another problem with the logo. Let me show you what is the problem. You see these thumbnails? Do you notice something like this, the time indicator? It's consistently being displayed by YouTube in the same place. And here, it's basically where my logo is. So if I have this thumbnail, there's a good chance the study pro word is going to be covered at least partially by the time indicator. So that is a composition mistake that we should fix in the thumbnail. So what I see in this thumbnail, a few things. The font, the main font, is typically not your YouTube font that you will find on thumbnails because it's too stylish in a way, which makes it a little bit harder to read. For YouTube, you need to go for the bold, big fonts, like the kind of stuff you can read from a mile away. So this is really important. This one, because it's stylized, I hope I'm saying that right, it makes it a little bit more difficult to read. Also, it looks like italic. So this font is problematic in my opinion. This one as well, like do not use underline. It is too small anyway. So we're going to work on the font, we're going to work on the size and on the composition to fix the composition problem here of the logo. All right, so let's go. Similarly, I'm going to rescue the text that I'm going to be using. So definitely this. And I think that's it. I'm not going to be, oh, maybe the logo. Yes. So the logo, I'm not going to get into the logo, if it's a good or bad logo. I'm just going to assume this is the logo. Okay, but I'm going to switch it to the other side. And I'm going to add a background for now. You can use this. So I'm seeing a bit more contrast. I'm seeing what's going on. All right, easy study tips. I kind of like the visual, but it's a little bit too cliche. But I like the idea of like, oh no, I have to study for my exam, which is tomorrow, and I haven't done anything yet. So that's kind of like the vibe I get from this thumbnail. So let's try to see if we can emulate that. Okay, searching for my visual. Let's start there. So I'm in the Elements tab. I'm searching for a woman annoyed, something like someone freaking out. So immediately I see a few things, and I see this woman right here. It's kind of the same idea. So let's use that. She's already without a background, which makes my life easier, to be honest. Easy study tip. Okay, how can we improve this title? Easy study tips. I think this is not too bad, like easy study tips, but let's make it a little bit more YouTube-y, a little bit more compelling. One of the things that works great on YouTube is listicles. So 7 tips for this, like 5 ways of doing this, 3 reasons why. So let's imagine the video could be kind of formatted into a listicle, and instead of easy tips, let's use 7 study tips. Yes. Okay, that sounds good. Now let's find a better font than Roxborough CF. I want something bold. So I'm going to type in bold in the box and see what comes up. I want something that could be read from very far away. Let's see. Yep, this is better. 7 study tips. Yep, this is nice too. So we have like an abundance of actually cool fonts here. I think I'm going to go for Code Pro, but probably need to add a little bit more space between the letters to make it easier to read. Let me zoom back out to see. Yeah, I can read this super easily. Let's add slightly more space between the letters. Okay, so letter spacing, -20. Yeah, I could go to 0. And I want this to hold into 2 lines, not 3 lines, okay? And I'm going to pull it down a bit. So it's kind of like eye level with the young girl here. Yes, this looks good. Okay, so I have my base, 7 study tips. I have the logo. I'm gonna group this logo, okay, and push it down a little bit. Okay, so this is a good base. How can we make this image a bit more lively? I want to add a glow effect around it. So this is something I've seen a lot on YouTube as well. I've done it a lot. We're doing it on our Canva channel. So if I type in Canva here, we use that for our tutorials. And this is something that has been working. If you go to playlist, you can see here a playlist of tutorials. And you see these thumbnails, like this me, but there are other people presenting as well. We have this white outline around the character on the thumbnail. So I'm going to try to reproduce this. So to do this, you click on your image, and then you go to your effects button or your edit image button if you already have that button. And then you go scrolling down to find the shadows. Okay, so shadows, I will need to connect it to Canva first. Once you do, you will have your shadow button here and different types of shadows. You want to go with the glow one. So click on glow. There you go. And now you see a glowing shadow, which is black, around the women. So you can use the different settings by clicking on the settings button here. Okay, so I want this bigger. I want this to be yellow, just like my title here. And you can play around with transparency and blurriness. Okay, so I want almost no transparency. And I can add some blur, something like that. So now I like that. I'm going to apply it to the design. All right, so this is taking shape. Obviously, the background is very plain. I want to illustrate the study part of the thumbnails. A thumbnail is kind of like a story, right? It's a story you're telling your audience. And this story is, oh, I'm so late for studying for my exam. So I want to represent that. So let's find some books, some school material, some stuff. Like, let's say she has to read 3 books by tomorrow, and she's like freaking out. So pile of books. Searching for a pile of book, a photo. I want this to be realistic. You know, Canva has some really cool, realistic piles of books that are already without a background. This is wonderful. So I'm bringing this one. I'm going to put it here behind her. Let's push that. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Maybe I can move it up like so. Let's find another pile to put here in front of her. Do we have more piles of books? Yes, we have this one. Okay. All right, so she has a lot to read. Okay, how can we style this a bit better? Like there's a lot of color all of a sudden in my thumbnail. I want to make this grayscale. So I'm gonna go to Edit Image, the adjustment buttons, and I'm going to bring the saturation all the way down to 0, or actually -100. 0 is the default. I want this to be all the way to the left. So there is no transparency at all in these books. I have a slight problem with this one. Like the top is very flat and it doesn't look so nice on the image. So let's get rid of it and find a better pile, maybe this one. Yes, this is going to look better. And I position this backward and I'm going to edit similarly, reduce my saturation like so. Okay, this is better now. A few more things, like the rest of the background is still pretty bland. I need more things going on. I'm going to use the same technique as before. So I'm going to go for a grid, like so. Add the grid to the background. It will automatically cover your background. It will be the first layer. So don't need to worry about the grid. And I want to find like a test, an exam, a photo of an exam. I kind of like this one, like the multiple answer. Okay, so I could do this. This is interesting, but it's the pencil now is like too much. So what I can do is see if I can find another pencil or another image. Okay, I'm going to move this and replace my original gray background by a black one and put this back. And now I'm going to add some transparency to this. See what I did here? I just reduced the transparency of my grid to about, let's say 20%. So now the pencil is gone. Like it's still there, but I have my high contrast because guys, like there's nothing like yellow and black and white. Like these three colors together, they pop. Like they like literally like jump off the page. So I think this is pretty good already. I have 7 study tips. I have my high contrast. I have the facial expression. I have like the freaking out and I have the test. My logo is correctly positioned. One last thing I could do is to play with a text effect if I wanted to. You don't have to, so you can add a glow to this as well if that's something that could work for you. Let me see, so neon, something like that. I'm not a big fan of that. But one thing that could work is to have a slight shadow like so, and you can change the color to something else, like could be white, but then if you go white, it's less legible, could be slightly gray, something like so. I'm gonna leave it like that. And that's going to be my second thumbnail. All right, which is pretty cool. Similarly, I had prepared this. This was my original attempt, which you see, it's pretty close. The font is slightly different. So the font is really a question of what do you prefer? I'm gonna keep the one I created right now. So this is what we have. Let me zoom all the way back. 7 study tips, it's super legible. The logo is not super legible, but I can see it's kind of like a graduated, like a young, freshly graduated hat. I don't know how you call these, but yeah, so this works. Let's zoom. Whoops, no, sorry about that. Let's zoom back to fitting. And yeah, that is the second thumbnail. Is there any questions?
There is one quick question. Would you use a photo or screenshot from the actual video when making a thumbnail ever, or would you always do a completely different design?
Yeah, it's a very good question. What I do, like in my real life, I use a frame from the video. So because I shoot a lot of tutorials, so a lot of my tutorial is just me in this same studio talking and talking. And so I ask our designer to grab a frame from this. And from this, I end up on the thumbnail. So this is what I do. It depends. I would say the answer is it depends of whether or not you can find this right frame in your video. If you do talking heads, if you have a good quality, and if you find a funny face expression, by all means use that because it's yours. The risk with finding images in stock libraries or in Canva is that you can find a cheesy photo. So if your thumbnail is too cheesy, then it might damage the purpose of what you're trying to do, which is to get clicks. So it's really up to you. But if you do have the material, yeah, you use it by all means. Here, it's just for the sake of this exercise of the makeovers. I thought let's show people how to do it from photos in Canva, because there are some great photos. And for example, this thumbnail, like, it works. It has nothing to do probably with who is in the video, but it works. So yeah, it's really up to you, and it depends on if you have this material or not.
Great, thank you. That's all for questions at the moment.
Okay, so let's continue moving. I will quickly go over the YouTube specific things that I did in this thumbnail. I added some glowing outlines, some facial expressions, and I used the listicle format. So these 3 tips. Again, let's go to YouTube and find, I don't know, like study tips, and see what kind of thumbnails are there. So you see facial expressions, you see books, see this guy, he looks like, and this girl, like, I know something you don't know. Yeah. So books, facial expressions, you see a lot of these. Handmade handmade doodles. Again, handmade doodles, glowing outline. So these are things you might see every day on YouTube. You don't even realize, like, you don't even pay attention to them. But these are subtle design, YouTube-specific techniques that will help your thumbnail be more clicked on. All right, let's move on to the last and final design, which is this one. So it's a design for Mother's Day and different kinds of cards you can create for Mother's Day. So what are my takes on this one thumbnail? So I have, as always, like my 3 little things I want to focus on. So negative space. Let's see. Yes, there's a lot going on in this thumbnail. There's a lot of noise, especially in the background, and not much contrast between what's in the background and the foreground here, the image. So definitely, we will need to be working on negative space. What else? Contrast. Yeah, I just said that. And keywords. Keywords, 6 easy Mother's Day cards to make. And then we have like at really great site. So the original design, we had at and an actual business name, which we changed it because we didn't want anyone to feel bad. But this is something I would definitely drop. The reason is your thumbnail is not a place to promote your social handles. This is not the purpose of your thumbnail. The purpose of your thumbnail is to get clicked on, to grab people's attention. So that is really what you should do. Nobody's going to say, oh, I need to check this Instagram right now. No one. So yeah, so understanding that and understanding what information is appropriate is also important. So let's go over and redo this thumbnail. So we'll start from scratch, as always, from this part, and we will start by rescuing the information. I like to do it like this because at the end of the day, it's what the creator's original messaging was, and we need to keep that. We need to stay true to that original message. Okay, the photo is not too bad either. So let's see if we can use it or be inspired by it. So this is what I have. This is what I rescued from the thumbnail. Now let's create a Mother's Day card making tutorial thumbnail. All right, so from here, I want to find inspiration. 6 easy Mother's Day cards to make. I don't think we should use 6 in letters when you can use it in numbers. 6 easy, 6 Mother's Day cards. Okay, so to make 6 Mother's Day cards, ideas maybe. Okay, let's see. Let's keep that for later. I need to find some inspiration here because I'm not very inspired. So what do? I search in Canva. So instead of searching from here, I want to search a bit broader this time. So I'm going to go back to Canva's homepage. Okay, so this is where you would start. Click on templates. So the tab here that says templates. And from here, we are going to type in Mother's Day. Mother's Day. Okay, so there are some actual Mother's Day templates because Mother's Day is an important day of the year. So as every special event, there are probably some Canva templates made for that. And that over the years, they can amount and pile up in the library. So let's search for Mother's Day's card, okay? So this is where I am. There's a lot of cool stuff here. So it's really a source of inspiration. It's probably not in the right format, like in the sense that this is not a YouTube thumbnail format, but it doesn't matter because I can grab any element from any template and copy paste it to my thumbnail. So this is the beauty of it. I really like this one. Let's see if I click on it. This is nice. I like this one as well. This is kind of like a collage. You see like some dry flowers and textures. I'm going to use this. So customize this template. And you see at this point, like I'm opening another design. This is not the right format. Like do not create your thumbnails from this and use that. So the format of this is 8" by 4". I don't know what that means. I speak in centimeters. But what I do know is that I like this stuff. So I'm going to select everything and Command-C and come back to my design. Okay, add another page and Command-V. And boom, I have everything here. So now I see how small this other design was. So with everything selected, I'm going to drag it and make this much bigger. Okay, so I make this big, like so, and I can center slightly. And now I have a base to work with. Okay, so I have this texture paper here, which is nice. I have a font here, which is curved. I'll delete this one. I have the flowers. I have some textures. I have my frame with a photo, some hearts. So this is great. Like this is really like the crafty vibe I'm going for. My tutorial is about making handmade Mother's Day cards. So this is perfect. What I need to do from here, I need to tweak. Okay, so the photo needs to be replaced. So this is the photo. I could reframe this, but I'm not a big fan of using a template as is. So I'm going to delete it and find something else. So let's head over to my elements and search for mother and daughter. Yeah, mother and daughter, why not? And find something here, something cute, something like that, for example. Like a daughter giving a kiss to her mother. This is nice. Boom, in the frame. So I'm happy about this. Let's immediately change the background for something kind of similar to what we had here, kind of pastel color. This one, kind of like salmon color. Not big fan of this one, but something similar. Let's find a color. So you have obviously your photo colors. So these are colors from the photos you have on the design. You have your document colors, or you can add another color palette if you want. So if you do this, it will bring you to the brand kit, I believe, which is not what I want to do. So if you go to more, you have your styles, and here you have a bunch of different color palettes as well. So I could, for example, go here and search for one of these colors. Could do that. One more thing you could do is to simply go to canva.com/colors. And if you do this, you will land on this page, which is great to generate color ideas. So if you click on this one, for example, here is a color palette with a lot of pastel colors, kind of bright pastel colors. So there is an infinity of color palettes here. So it's really up to you to find them, explore color combinations. I could go here and type pastel, pastel dreams, pastel blonde, pastel, all sorts of pastels. So let's see here. Yep, this is nice, the mint color. Let's try this. Okay, back to my design. I do have a color that I copied, and I'm going to add it here. There we go. So we have the minty color. This could work or not. I could try the rose to see if it's better. Yeah, I think rose is going to be better. All right. This is what I have now. I need my text, right? Let me bring this text to this design right here. Okay, so this is what needs to be in the text. I have this patchwork of things here. It probably needs to be bigger because we are on YouTube and we want stuff to be very big. So something like that would be more appropriate, I believe. And my text is going to come here. You will notice that for all of the thumbnails, I had my text on the left side of my screen. I don't know why. This is traditionally how it's being done on YouTube. So most of the time, your text will be on this side right here, main text. Not always, but most of the time. So this is what I like to do. I like this font as well, to be honest. So I'm so lucky, but it's not very legible. So maybe I can use it sparingly. So not for the entire title, but maybe for a keyword like Mother's Day. So let's try that. I can see that there is a curved text going on here. So I'm going to bring that back to 0. And I'm going to bring Mother's Day and paste that here, Mother's Day. Okay, I never know Mother's Day. I think it's apostrophe S, like this. Yes. Okay, Mother's Day. I can use this texture paper. Actually, it's not super convenient the way it's cut, the way it's like torn. So let's see what it is. This paper here, if I click on the I button, I see ripped paper. And keywords, texture, ripped paper, strip white. Okay, let's search for that, more of these. So in my elements, I go for ripped paper texture, something like that. I can find a few. Let's see the graphics. If I can find some crafty bits of paper. Yep, oh, I like the one here with the tape. For example, this one. Oh, here's more. So I have this. I actually like this one better. I don't like the color of this one. So I can use that. I'm going to get rid of this one now. Magic recommendation. So here's more. Okay, now I have some choice. Okay, so I need a small one for Mother's Day. Okay, let's try working with this. Mother's Day. Obviously, Mother's Day needs to be bigger. This is too small. It's not going to read properly at like 10%. I can test this straight away. Can we read this? Yes, we can. Mother's Day could be slightly bigger, to be honest. It wouldn't hurt. Okay, I need a stronger color. Something like that. Can move that down slightly as well. Okay, so I have Mother's Day. I need 6. What I like to do also is to search for letters and numbers in here. If you type in 6 and I go to graphics, I'll have a variety of 6s in different forms and colors and shapes, which is good for a crafty design, right? Our design is crafty. Can we find a crafty 6? Like this one, for example? 6 Mother's Day. Okay, that's slightly too big. Or this one is slightly too big, maybe. I need to do the 10% test and see if it passes it. 6 Mother's Day card ideas. Now I need card ideas. I feel like I could be using something like that. So this font, 6 Mother's Day card ideas. Yes, this title is not too bad. Let's make this bigger. I can maybe have 2. No, it's better in 1 line. And I'm going to play around with the font. Again, find something bold, something crafty. Card ideas. Maybe telegraph and maybe all caps. So all caps here. Six Mother's Day card ideas. Can we read this correctly and properly? Yep, could be bigger. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to try to select this whole piece right here without selecting anything else, like not this one. So I deselect this one by holding my shift button and clicking on the stuff I don't want. I just want this part and group this. Okay, now it's grouped. I can make this bigger. Okay, now I can ungroup. I see a problem here is that this text box should be slightly tilted. So it kind of continues this motion in the paper, like so. There's something slightly off with the font as well. So maybe less space between the, yep, something like that would look nicer, I believe. Okay, so 6 Mother's Day card ideas. And I could continue the idea of like the crafty. So I could add more paper textures. So let's see if I can find. Maybe if I search this one and I look at the keywords, abstract speckles, abstract paint. What about this piece? This is purple crumpled construction paper. Construction paper, maybe? Construction paper. I'm just trying to figure out construction paper ripped or construction paper. I'm just trying to figure out, yeah, this is good. Trying to figure out how to find more of these papers. Yeah, this is pretty good. So I could find, see more like this. No, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to use, sorry, I'm going to use this one and see if I can make something nice out of this. Okay. So I just want a little piece of it sticking out of my design. This is slightly too big. Yes, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to push it backwards to the back. And with it still selected, I can try different things. See, like this is not too bad. And I can push it down, something like that. So just to add a little bit more dimension to the design. So by rotating this bit and really trying to find Okay, this is good. I don't want this part here to be seen. Can I do this? Almost. Now it's just still a little piece here. Maybe I rotate it more. Okay, this looks okay. I'm going to leave it at that so we can take some questions if there are any. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about this. Again, the 10% test, 6 Mother's Day card ideas. So card ideas should be not cards idea, card ideas. Also important, like to proofread your thumbnails so you don't make basic mistakes like I was about to do. All right, no more. Hands off the mouse. This is it for this thumbnail. This was the original one I had designed. You see pretty similar. Oh yeah, the heart, I forgot to move the hearts. Could move a heart here and bring your accent colors if this is something you want to do. Just simply filling up this space right here a bit more. All right, so this is it, what we did on this thumbnail before we take questions. We added some hand-drawn elements, which created a crafty vibe to our design. Because if we are on YouTube and search for Mother's Day cards, you will see the crafty vibe like in your face. This is craft all over the place. So I decided to go for this vibe. Yep. So that's what we did. Facial expressions. Yes, the facial expression of love and this feeling of mother-daughter love and celebrating your mother. So we went for this as well. Yeah, hand-drawn elements, facial expression, and crafty vibes. So this is it for me, guys. So the last slide I have here, and we'll take questions if there is any. This is a QR code. You can feel free to scan it. This will lead you to Canva's YouTube channel, where we have a bunch. Well, first of all, we have all the Canva Space events. We have a playlist for that. And you can you can watch any of the sessions we've had. So if you scan the code, you'll have a pop-up message asking you to subscribe to the channel. You will find tutorials there. You will find the Canva Space recordings and some other good stuff. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And that's it for me. Now it's really, I'm here for you. If you have questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Fantastic, Ronnie. Thank you so much. Lots of love coming through in the chat for those beautiful designs. We do have a question from Jean D, who says, how do you keep your YouTube thumbnails consistent without making it look templated or boring in the long run?
Yep, it's a very important thing indeed. Playlist and channel consistency. The most professional channels will be consistent. So let me go to Canva's channel. So the way we do this, we have templates, but we do create our own templates. You see, for example, different playlists here. We have the What's New series. You can see this, there's a template going on here. There is a format for this thumbnail, but it's not the same. You change the color of the background, you change the photo of the person because you have different guests on your show. And even if you don't have different guests on your show, you can do something like this. Like this guest, like it's only me, but I'm in different positions because I'm grabbing frames from my talking head, like segment of my video in different positions. But the consistency is built with the composition, the font you're using, the color combinations you're using, the layout you're using. You see the layout is always the same, but it's the same but different. Kind of like in Thailand, no, same, but different. I imagine you're from Thailand. Yindi is like, I think a Thai name, but I might be wrong. But, and here as well, like the Canva challenges, we have the same layout, but they are all different. So this is my answer. It's like create a thumbnail that works for you. For example, here we have a playlist with our CCC tutorial, and the playlist is here. You see they're all kind of similar. These thumbnails, they are similar. You see, the structure is the same, but not two thumbnails are equal. So that's how you create your consistency.
Fantastic. Any more questions? Type them in quickly now, because otherwise we are going to wrap up for today's session. So Jean D says, yes, thank you, got that. That's very helpful. Thank you for the session. I think we are good for questions, actually. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Ronny, for sharing all of that YouTube goodness today.
Yep, you're welcome, guys. And thank you for watching.
Great. We hope to see you at another Canva Space event very soon. Take care.